ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाशनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्णा कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। मुखं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारणम्। Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So today we are going to embark on, like Jagannath Gopal Prabhu mentioned, we're going to shift the focus from the activities of Prachini Bhari to his 10 sons, the Pracetās. So before that, let's do a recap of, just a second. Hope we can all see my PowerPoint.
Yes,
Okay. Okay. So, yeah. So the story so far. So kind of recap. So this whole fourth canto started with Lord Shiva, then Dhruva Maharaj, and then Dhruva Maharaj, once his time was to return home back to Godhead, he gave his kingdom was taken over by his son Vatsara, ruled the kingdom, and then many kings after that in the lineage, and Anga is probably the great grandson of Dhruva Maharaj. Is a just king. He followed all the religious principles very nicely, but the only problem he had was his son Vena, who was very religious. He plundered the whole kingdom, and everybody was pretty much afraid of him. So when Anga was very disgusted with his how his son turned out to be, and he decided to give up the kingdom and leave for the forest, the ministers didn't know what to do. So they, for the lack of the better person available, so they made Vena as the next king, and he's only to find that his activities even got much worse, and that led to a point where the priest, the high priest, the sages, the brahmanas of the kingdom conspired kind of and killed him, and used his hand to churn and so that they can create, and they prayed to the Supreme Lord to I think I'm hearing some noise. Okay. So they used his hand to churn his body, and from that body, they prayed to the Supreme Lord to incarnate, and out came Prithu Maharaj. Oops, Prithu Maharaj, along with Archi, his consort. Then we looked at some point we looked at the Prithu Maharaj's activities, very beautiful activities. And after Prithu Maharaj, his son Vijitsva ruled the kingdom. Then he gave it to Havirdhana, and Havirdhana and his wife Havirdhani gave birth to many children, and one of them was Barishat, also known as Prachini Bari. With to whom we have been looking at the story of the conversations between Narada Muni and King Prachina Bhari. And Prachini Bhari had 10 sons who are called the Prachetas. Unfortunately, the names of these individual sons, at least as far as I have seen, is not mentioned. But they are collectively called as the Prachetas. So, it's kind of a backstory is that so Vidura was talking to Maitreya and inquiring about what are some of the things that this happened in a 24th chapter of this canto. Back then, it started from his inquiry and his inquisitiveness about the Prachetas, what happened to them, and how did they get to meet Lord Shiva and all that. And so the Emperor Prachinibari sent his 10 sons, Prachetas, to practice austerities in preparation for their marriage because they want to increase the population in this world. So, so these Prachetas, while they are walking to find a place where they can perform those austerities, came to a water body. Is also popularly known as like Manasarovar, and and out came from that lake Lord Shiva with all the other demigods, and Lord Shiva instructed them about the absolute truth and how by reciting a certain certain verses, slokas, that they can invoke the darshan of the Lord Vasudeva. So he chanted Rudra Gita. So the Rudra Gita is a 42, it runs about 42 verses in the chapter 24. And then once the Rudra Gita was sung, Lord Shiva disappeared, and then the Prachetas were very happy. They went underneath the water and did their penance for like 10,000 years reciting the Rudra Gita. So, and then in the meantime, while they were doing this, so 10,000 years is a long time. So, King Prachinabhari, who's his father of the Prachetas, so he is, he followed fruit activities like Karma Kanda, and for his own personal sense gratification, and he was performing a lot of sacrifices, not doing anything for his spiritual growth, but only to enhance his material opulences and to gratify his senses. So Narada Muni, out of his causeless mercy, he thought that, okay, it's time to go and meet Pachinabari and enlighten him about a few things. So so Narada Muni went to meet King Pachinabari and narrates him the allegorical story of King Puranjana. Why allegorical? Because this Puranjana character is a fictitious character, and it's metaphorically, it means something else. So what the King Puranjana was representing was the Jivatma, and then so there were multiple chapters that we saw in the past several weeks about how King Puranjana's activities, for example, we saw in the about his going to the forest to hunt, and then he's marrying the queen, who represents intelligence. The queen becomes angry, and then they got attacked by this a time factor, which is called Chandavega, and also the character of Kalakanya, who represents the old age, the Jara, the old age, and also the Durbhagya, which is the ill fate. And then while King Puranjana was materially very happy and leading his life, he suddenly, old age got to him, suddenly the time factor, caught the best of him. And then he was very afraid to leave all his wife and all his sons behind. And he was especially thinking about his wife a lot, of how she will be with if he passes away, how will she take care of herself and things like that. So in this consciousness of his wife, he leaves his body. So because he was thinking about a woman in the last in his consciousness before his last breath left his body, Puranjana becomes a woman in the next life, and who becomes the daughter of King Vidarbha called Vaidarbhi. And then she marries Malayadwaja, and then the story goes on and on, and it was time for Malayadwaja to actually, Malayadwaja becomes enlightened in the due course, happens to be her husband. And then so he meets with his death. So he passes away. So Puranjana in the female body as Vaidarbhi, his wife, she laments in the dead body in front of her, and then she also wants to enter the funeral pyre. So what happens at that point is her old friend Avigyata um, comes and says, "Hey, do you remember me? I'm your old friend. I'm your well-wisher." And then they talk about, so she says, "But I want to. This is my husband," and she keeps lamenting. And then he says, "Who are you? Are you think? Do you think that you are the wife of this person? And who is this person? Do you think is his husband, or do you think that you are somebody from the previous life?" Wife of Puranjana and things like that. So the conversation goes. So what happens at that conversation is that um, the the Prachina Bhari becomes completely confused with this story. He does not understand, or he tries to understand, but he is perplexed and bewildered by the story. So he pleads with Narada Muni, "Can you please tell me what is going on here? Like, who is this Puranjana? Who is, Malayadwaja? Who is Avigyata?" And then Narada Muni explains the soul, the Jivatma, the Paramatma, the Malayadwaja was the spiritual master, and Avigyata is the supreme and a super soul come to rescue her, and so on. So the whole story can be condensed into kind of the meaning is that attachment leads to suffering, which gives rise to the repeated cycle of birth and death. And how the detachment is very important from the material things, but detachment alone is not sufficient. So as we detach from the material attachments, we need to attach ourselves to a higher knowledge, which is the Bhakti Yoga process, and how the role of a guru, the spiritual master, is going to connect us with the Supreme Lord. So these are the 4 points that Narada Muni explains in that chapter. Now we will go ahead and see this current chapter. This is where it is. So now what happens is that there are 5 sections in this chapter. So we'll just quickly go over these 5 sections. This is like an introduction. We don't have to read this, but I'm going to go in detail into all of these 5. So first is Lord Vasudev appeared in front of the Pracetās. So let's go ahead and see. So the King Puranjana and the Prachini Bhari story is over. Now the focus is now shifted to the original question that Vidura asked Maitreya about the activities of the Pracetās. So now we'll go to that. So in this section, we will see Lord Vishnu, Lord Vasudeva, this 8-hand form, how he appeared in front of the Pracetās. So Vidura asked Maitreya about the Pracetās. So he wanted to know, what did they obtain in this material world? So Pracetās obtaining, in spiritual world is a known fact. So now they want to know, Vidura wants to know, what did they obtain in this material world? What did they gain after doing 10,000 years of austerities? What did they gain? So after 10,000 years of severe austerities, the Supreme Lord appeared in front of the Pracetās in his eight-armed form with weapons in his hands. So this is Lord Vasudeva, because the Rudra Gita, the singing of the Rudra Gita invokes the darshan of the Lord Vasudeva. So that is what the Lord Shiva mentioned, and then the Pracetās followed exactly that. So here this is taken from the purport. One can offer prayers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead directly, but if one repeats the prayers offered by great devotees like Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma, or if one follows in the footsteps of great personalities, one can please the Supreme Personality of Godhead very easily. That's why we have so many of these, so many prayers. We have prayers from Gajendra, we have prayers from Kunti, we have prayers from Bhishma. So many prayers. The Bhagavatam is filled with prayers of all these enlightened devotees, pure devotees of the Lord. So why is it that that the direct prayers are a little less attractive for Krishna, and why are these prayers of by the great devotees of the Lord are more attractive for Krishna? That's the topic for discussions. The question I'd like to ask everyone, and I request participation from everyone, is oh, I just forgot that we didn't even read. So maybe what we will do is we will go ahead and read, and then we'll come back to this. I apologize. So let's go ahead and read the chapter, because I got carried away a little bit. Share this one. Okay. So I would like actually 3 readers, if possible, to read 17. We'll divide into 17 verses each, and so we have 51 verses. Samaksh Prabhu, would you like to go first? And please raise your hands if anybody wants to read the next couple of sections. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, I'm sorry, we didn't rename. But yeah, I can read it first.
Sorry?
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, sorry, we didn't rename ourselves, so I think I'll
Oh,
read
no,
it.
no, no, it's okay. Yeah, you are an entity together.
Okay, till 17, no? Okay. Hare Krishna.
Yes, please. Yeah.
Chapter 30, Activities of the Prachetas. Vidura inquired from Maitreya, O Brahmana, you formerly spoke about the sons of Prachinabhari and informed me that they satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead by chanting a song composed by Lord Shiva. What did they achieve in this way? My dear Barhaspatya, Barhaspatya, what did the sons of King Varishat, known as the Prachetas, obtain after meeting Lord Shiva, who is very dear to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the bestower of liberation? Certainly, they were transferred to the spiritual world. But apart from that, what did they obtain within this material world, either in this life or in other lives? The sage Maitreya said, the sons of King Prachinabhari, known as the Prachetas, underwent severe austerities within the sea water to carry out the order of their father. By chanting and repeating the mantras given by Lord Shiva, they were able to satisfy Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. At the end of 10,000 years of severe austerities performed by the Prachetas, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, to reward their austerities, appeared before them in his very pleasing form. This appealed to the Prachetas and satisfied the labor of their austerities. The personality of Godhead, appearing on the shoulder of Garuda, seemed like a cloud resting on the summit of the mountain known as Meru. The transcendental body of personality of Godhead was covered by attractive yellow garments, and his neck was decorated with the jewel known as Kaustubhamani. The bodily effulgence of the Lord dissipated all the darkness of the universe. The Lord's face was very beautiful, and his head was decorated with a shining helmet and golden ornaments. The helmet was dazzling and was very beautifully situated on his head. The Lord had 8 arms, which each held a particular weapon. The Lord was surrounded by demigods, great sages, and other associates. These were all engaged in his service. Garuda, the carrier of the Lord, glorified the Lord with Vedic hymns by flapping his wings. Garuda appeared to be an inhabitant of the planet known as Kinnaraloka. Around the neck of the personality of Godhead hung a flower garland that reached to his knees. His 8 stout and elongated arms were decorated with that garland, which challenged the beauty of the goddess of fortune. With a merciful glance and a voice like thunder, the Lord addressed the sons of King Prachinabharishat, who were very much surrendered unto him. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, my dear sons of the king, I am very much pleased by the friendly relationships among you. All of you are engaged in one occupation, devotional service. I am so pleased with your mutual friendship that I wish you all good fortune. Now you may ask a benediction of me. The Lord continued, those who remember you every evening of every day will become friendly with their brothers and with all living entities. Those who will offer me the prayers composed by Lord Shiva both in the morning and in the evening, will be given benedictions by me. In this way, they can both fulfill their desires and attain good intelligence. Because you have with pleasure accepted within your hearts the orders of your Father and have executed those orders very faithfully, your attractive qualities will be celebrated all over the world. You will have a nice son who will be in no way inferior to Lord Brahma. Consequently, he'll be very famous all over the universe, and the sons and grandsons generated by him will fill the 3 worlds. O son of King Prachinabharishat, the heavenly society girl's name from Locha kept the lotus-eyed daughter of Kandu in the center of the forest trees, in the care of the forest trees. Then she went back to the heavenly planet. This daughter was born by the coupling of the Apsara name from Locha with the sage Kandu. Thereafter, the child, who was left to the care of the trees, began to cry in hunger. At that time, the king of the forest, namely the king of the moon planet, out of compassion, placed his finger, which poured forth nectar, within the child's mouth. Thus, the child was raised by the mercy of the king of the moon. Since all of you are very much obedient to my orders, I ask you to immediately marry that girl, who is so well qualified with beauty and good qualities. According to the order of your father, create progeny through her. You brothers are all of the same nature, being my devotees and obedient sons of your father. Similarly, that girl is also of the same type and is dedicated to all of you. Thus, both the girl and you, the sons of Prachina Bharishat, are on the same platform, being united on a common principle. The Lord then blessed all the Prachetas, saying, my dear princess, by the mercy you can enjoy all the facilities of this world as well as the heavenly world. Indeed, you can enjoy all of them without hindrance and with full strength for 1 million celestial years. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Vrinda. Ritesh Prabhu, would you like to read from 18 onwards?
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thereafter, you will develop unadulterated devotional service unto me and be freed from all material contamination. At that time, being completely unattached to material enjoyment in the so called heavenly planets, as well as in hellish planets, you will return home back to Godhead. Those who are engaged in auspicious activities in devotional service certainly understand that the ultimate enjoyer or beneficiary of all activities is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thus, when one acts, he offers the results to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and passes life always engaged in the topics of the Lord. Even though such a person may be participating in family life, he is not affected by the results of his actions. Always engaging in the activities of devotional service, devotees feel ever increasingly fresh and new in all their activities. The all-knower, the super soul within the heart of the devotee, makes everything increasingly fresh. This is known as the Brahman position by the advocates of the absolute truth. In such a liberated stage, Brahma Bhuta, one is never bewildered, nor does one lament or become unnecessarily jubilant. This is due to the Brahma Bhuta situation. The great sage Maitreya said, after the personality of Godhead spoke thus, the Pracetās began to offer him prayers. The Lord is the bestower of all success in life and is the supreme benefactor. He is also the supreme friend who takes away all miserable conditions experienced by a devotee. In a faltering voice, due to ecstasy, the Pracetās began to offer prayers. They were purified by the presence of the Lord, who was before them face to face. The Pracetās spoke as follows: Dear Lord, you relieve all kinds of material distress. Your magnanimous, transcendental qualities and holy name are all auspicious. This conclusion is already settled. You can go faster than the speed of wind, speed of mind and words. You cannot be perceived by material senses. We therefore offer you respectful obeisances again and again. Dear Lord, we beg to offer our obeisances unto you when the mind is fixed upon you. The world of duality, although a place for material enjoyment, appears meaningless. Your transcendental form is full of transcendental bliss. We therefore offer our respects unto you. Your appearances as Lord Brahma, Lord Vishnu, and Lord Shiva are meant for the purpose of creating, maintaining, and annihilating this cosmic manifestation. Dear Lord, we offer our respectful obeisances unto you because your existence is completely independent of all material influences. Your Lordship always takes away the devotee's miserable conditions. For your brain plans how to do so. You live everywhere as Paramatma, therefore, you are known as Vasudeva. You also accept Vasudeva as your father and you are celebrated by the name Krishna. You are so kind that you always increase the influence of all kinds of devotees. Dear Lord, we offer our respectful obeisances unto you because from your abdomen sprouts the lotus flower, the origin of all living entities. You are always decorated with a lotus garland, and your feet resemble the lotus flower with all its fragrance. Your eyes are also like the petals of a lotus flower. Therefore, we always offer our respectful obeisances unto you. Dear Lord, the garment you have put on is yellowish in color, like the saffron of a lotus flower, but it is not made of anything material since you live in everyone's heart. You are the direct witness of all the activities of all the living entities. We offer our respectful obeisances unto you again and again. Dear Lord, we conditioned souls are always covered by ignorance in the bodily conception of life. We therefore always prefer the miserable conditions of material existence. To deliver us from these miserable conditions, you have advented yourself in this transcendental form. This is evidence of your unlimited causeless mercy upon those of us who are suffering in this way. Then what to speak of the devotees to whom you are always so favorably disposed? Dear Lord, you are the killer of all inauspicious things. You are compassionate upon your poor devotees through the expansion of your Archa Vigraha. You should certainly think of us as your eternal servants. When the Lord, out of his natural compassion, thinks of his devotee, by that process only are all desires of the neophyte devotee fulfilled. The Lord is situated in every living entity's heart. Although the living entity may be very insignificant, the Lord knows everything about the living entity, including all his desires. Although we are very insignificant, why should the Lord not know our desires? O Lord of the universe, you are the actual teacher of the science of devotional service. You are satisfied that your Lordship is the ultimate goal of our life, and we pray that you will be satisfied with us. That is our benediction. We do not desire anything other than your full satisfaction. Dear Lord, we shall therefore pray for your benediction because you are the supreme, beyond all transcendence, and because there is no end to your opulences. Consequently, you are celebrated by the name Ananta. Dear Lord, when the bee approaches the celestial tree called the Parijat, it certainly does not leave the tree because there is no need for such action. Similarly, when we have approached your lotus feet and taken shelter of them, what further benediction may we ask of you? Dear Lord, as long as we have to remain within this material world due to our material contamination and wander from one type of body to another and from one planet to another, we pray that we may associate with those who are engaged in discussing your pastimes. We pray for this benediction life after life in different bodily forms and on different planets. Even a moment's association with a pure devotee cannot be compared to being transferred to heavenly planets or even merging into the Brahman effulgence in complete liberation. For living entities who are destined to give up the body and die, association with pure devotees is the highest benediction. Thank you.
Thank you, Ritesh Prabhu. I was just thinking that we can actually stop here for reading. Sorry, no, just in the interest of time, I'll explain up until this section, and then if we have time, then we can come back and read the remainder. Otherwise, we can leave it for next week. Just looking at the time, I'm just making the call on the fly here. Thank you
No,
all.
this is perfect, Mataji. No worries at all. Please cover whatever you had planned. Yeah, it's
Okay.
totally fine. Yeah, I mean,
I may
whatever-
go faster also, but I'm just thinking that, the discussions and stuff.
no. You don't have to go fast, Mataji. This is a very nice section, and I
Yeah.
think we can dedicate 2 classes for this.
Okay,
Absolutely.
perfect.
So, yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much, Vrinda Gopi and Ritesh Prabhu for reading so nicely. So let's go back to our presentation. So we saw this. So we are in the first section where Lord Vishnu appears in front of Pracetās. So yeah, we saw all this where yes, so there was this question that I was mentioning about one can offer prayers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead directly, but if one repeats the prayers offered by great devotees like Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma, or if one follows the footsteps of great personalities, one can please the Supreme Personality of Godhead very easily, right? So a question in that is that Hiranyakashipu prayed to Lord Brahma, and also Ravana prayed to Lord Shiva, who are both Brahma and Shiva. They are both great devotees of the Lord. Why were then they killed, and why the Pracetās were saved? Because the Pracetās also repeated the prayers offered by Lord Shiva, and Ravana prayed directly to Lord Shiva, who is also Shiva being the great devotee of the Lord. So why didn't the Lord protect these people, these two? Any thoughts? And it must be an easy one, but just thought. Even if it's easy one, please go ahead. Jagannath Gopal.
So some differences that immediately come to my mind are this Pracetās, they perform the austerities as per the mantra given by Lord Shiva, So they accepted Vaishnava as their authority. That is one thing. Whereas on the other hand, this Ravana and Hiranyakashipu, they are uh, they are personifications of that verse in Gita. Kamaistaisya jnana prapadyante anya devata tam tam niyamamasthaya prakritya niyata swaya. So these people who have many selfish desires, they perform austerities as per their own nature, like not even without any regard to the demigod that they're trying to please. They just perform austerities based on their own speculation, and then they try to appease the demigods and get benedictions from them for their own self gratification. So that's the second difference, I guess. And yeah, and I guess in general also, the basic motivation was selfless in case of Prachetas, but in case of Hiranyakashipu and Ravana, it wasn't. They wanted their own enjoyment overall. So yeah.
Yeah, great points, bro. Great points. Yeah, so I mean, the one is, yeah, you hit the kind of a nail on that about the selfless and the selfish. Samaksh and Prabhu and Vrinda Gopi, do you have you raised and then you probably thought that
Yeah.
it was already answered by is
Yeah, it
that
was actually, yeah, more or less almost covered. So just echoing what JGB said,
yeah.
like the intent, the motivation, and
Mm,
also kind of how we talk about like the gopis worship goddess Durga, like Katyani for Krishna.
very good. Yeah.
So that way, like people, even in today's world, we can see people worshipping demigods for as when they worship them as authority for something else. Like
Mm,
they had even Hiranyakashipu and they just wanted like long life and all these things. So they
mm,
were having material these things and but for Prachetas and the gopis, they worship the demigods or they thought them as devotees of Krishna and then they were asking for Krishna from them. So yeah.
yeah. Yeah, one is to ask Krishna himself as a benediction. Another thing is to ask something, for our own selfish reasons, like Jagannath Gopal Prabhu was saying. Very good, yeah. Ritesh Prabhu, any thoughts?
Yeah. So uh, one of the understanding that I had listening to one of the podcasts was that there were like Jay and Vijay, the gatekeepers who were cursed, who were great sages. They were gatekeepers of Vaikuntha, and they were cursed by four Kumaras when they were entering Vaikuntha. So they were now then born as Hiranyaksh and Hiranyakashipu, who were Jai Vijay and Kumkaran and Ravan. So they got two options, like either they take three births and then come back again to Vaikunt,
Right,
or
right.
they live for seven births. So they chose the three birth where they will do all the wrong, and however they are portrayed is the secondary thing. It's more like they want to serve the Lord and can't be separated. So they
Mm,
chose that other option where they took birth as the demons, so-called demons. But then again, if we see, it's a grand scheme of plan
yes,
where,
yes, yes, yes.
yeah,
In a very
yes,
high level picture, yes, it all and eventually, they all, Vaikuntha so they never really left Vaikuntha or serving the Lord. It's just that it's a minor kind of detour to kind of learn the lesson and get back, right? Um,
yes,
but in general, like whoever, does, um, sorry, I think I'm here. So, one of the possible answer is that because whatever they did was for their own sense gratification, and here, can't see my okay. Um, so I think it opens up on. Yeah. So here in this verse, where is that? I don't even know if this is the one that actually opened up. But anyways, this was not the verse actually. Yeah. So what it essentially means is that, yeah, I'm so sorry. I think this going back and forth is not going to work. So, the point that I was trying to convey across is that, and we can certainly pray for our own, material desires to be satisfied. And Krishna will, and we can pray to Krishna also directly, for the material desires to be satisfied. But when what pleases Krishna is when we offer the prayers that were offered by his favorite devotees, pure devotees, and so that so that we can get that mercy flowing much quicker. And also what pleases the Lord even more is that we do that out of our selflessly earning for that love of God, rather than asking. It's like going to a millionaire and begging for like 20 rupees, right? When they can give you a palace worth 20 crores. Why would we ask something for like 20 rupees, right? So ask according to the capacity of the person whom we are seeking or begging from. And also kind of from the love, and also from a kind of selfless aspect. Anybody else wants to chime in, or we can move on? Okay.
Actually, one quick thing.
Yes, Lord.
So on what Prithu, Leesamma, Aishwarya, 1 second, nodala you need. So like what Ritesh Prabhu mentioned, right, that they were actually in the grand scheme of things. They were actually Jai Vijay, and they were actually engaging with the Lord in the whole grand plan. But then what I feel that though the kings who supported them during their times, right, they were the actual sufferers, because they were really purified. Like the kings who supported Hiranyakashipu, or the kings who supported Ravana, they were actually all purified thoroughly by the Lord. Yeah.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
the people who who actually were the kings, and also the people, right?
People,
Under their regime.
correct.
Yeah, yeah, correct.
I mean,
Yeah,
that is also in the grand scheme of Lord's
yeah,
plan, Paritranaya
yeah,
Sadhunam Vinashaya Ch Dushkritam.
correct,
So,
correct. Yes,
yeah.
yes, yes, yeah, yeah. Great answer, Prabhu. Thank you. So, so now the Lord wants, because he's very pleased with the way the Prachetas prayed together under the sea, under the water for 10,000 years, and apparently they did not have any food for such a long time. They were, it's an austerity, so it's like a tapasya. So until that tapasya is finished, they will not partake in any of the other activities. So, so let's see what benediction that the Lord himself gave. So Lord appears in his 8-armed form, like you can see in this picture. So this is Lord Krishna appearing on Garuda. So they are under the water right now. So they are meeting. So they came to meet the Prachetas who are under the water. So you can see these little bubbles or whatever here. So under the water, so the Lord is in the 8-armed form, with all 8 arms carrying weapons. So what is Lord pleased with? Is the Lord is pleased with their cooperative nature. So even though they are brothers, right? I mean, among brothers, we see that in this material world, we see that there can be many quarrels among the same people in the family. And imagine for 10,000 years they were cooperatively doing something. I mean, that's just very commendable. So so now I just like to open up to a discussion. It's not a kind of question, but a discussion. So when we perform devotional service, right? Let's say we do some seva at the temple or at the community groups or wherever we meet, then there may be differences of opinion among devotees, right? So what are your thoughts about because devotees, we are not talking about karmis who they don't cooperate, or karmis cooperation with each other, but karmis in the sense non-devotees. But we are talking about devotees who actually want to love and serve the God, love and serve Krishna, and having differences of opinions. So does this mean that we always have to not give in to the differences of opinions, or can it then never be differences of opinions? What are all your suggestions or thoughts about, or your personal examples, even if you can bring to the table, like when you are performing a devotional service and a difference of opinion came among devotees, maybe somebody asked somebody to stay back late or do something differently than you had thought of, and there was a difference of opinion right there. How are we supposed to handle that? Please, you can all share your experiences. That'll be great. Can take like any example from the day-to-day, performing of devotional service. Yes, Prabhu. Jagannath Gopal Prabhu.
So definitely there will be disagreements. It's the nature of the material world. We are all struggling sadhakas. In the spiritual world where everybody is perfectly humble in the service of the Lord, even their disagreements happen, but the disagreements are all, they go away because everyone has the purest desire to serve the Lord. But as struggling sadhakas, that may not be the case with us. So disagreements will happen. So I had heard this from Radhanath Maharaj many years ago, and it kind of stuck with me. So he had said that humility is not just outwardly saying, "Oh Prabhu, I am so fallen. Oh Prabhu, you are so great," and whatnot. Humility means to change our wavelength to match with the wavelength of the other person. That is actual humility and cooperation on a deepest level. So whenever I have disagreements with someone, I try to think how I can. This quote comes to my mind, and then I try to either so just try to do what the other person says, and this even goes to the point about proving ourselves right or saving the relationship. That is also, it comes here. Of course, it's easier said than done. It's very difficult at times, and but yeah, for me personally, I try to weigh my options, and yeah, sometimes I'm too attached to something, and yeah, so I guess I consult with seniors. That is one thing I do.
Very nice. Yeah.
And but just by consulting the seniors, there is some idea as to what needs to be done. But in principle, yeah, there, and of course, my disagreements are on a very insignificant level. They don't impact. I sometimes I imagine the kind of disagreements that people like Guru Maharaj or these big sannyasis they may have. That is like huge. That is the toughest nut to crack, I think. But yeah, just some thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, but our levels also it's tougher because we need, like you said correctly, that we need to have that relationship with the other devotees that we have the difference of opinions with, and we need to be able to serve together.
Yeah.
And so according to you, you will take a humble position, like a humility, and also kind of weighing the situation, how attached you are to the service, and then
Yeah, I mean,
reach
so
out to the mentors, or
yeah, when I'm really attached to something, then whether that thing is good or what the other person is saying is good,
Mm.
can be decided only by a higher authority. We
Right.
can wobble as much as we want amongst ourselves,
Right.
but ultimately somebody who is higher to us has to come and resolve it.
Yeah.
That sense, that's. I mean, I don't take a humble stand always. That's
Mm.
not what I do. But at least I try to see how I can behave in a proper way by consulting higher authorities, and even then, sometimes I end up, squabbling and criticizing and whatnot. So yeah, that's all.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you for a comprehensive answer. VGDD and Samaksh Prabhu's, I don't know who's going to speak.
Hare Krishna Mataji, it's me this time. Okay, yeah, Mataji, one thing I've heard, Radhesham Prabhu quotes this a lot. He says, fight, neophyte. So that is a clear indication of a neophyte behavior, is that they are very like they haven't controlled the egoistic tendency in them. So therefore, a lot of arguments and everything occurs. So here, like what is very pleasing to Lord Vishnu is not that uh, the devotees. Yeah. So here, the cooperation between Prachetas was very pleasing to Lord Vishnu, and the cooperation can only exist when you are forgetting or putting your ego on the back seat and you are chasing the essence. So we all know that whenever we get into these petty arguments, we somehow forget the essence of the activity that we are doing, and we are running behind the details. For example, if I'm washing the Aarti paraphernalia in the temple, this happened with me. So I was washing Aarti paraphernalia in the temple, and one devotee came and said that, Prabhu, you have to dry the diya after washing, otherwise it'll get stained, right? And that Prabhu, I have never seen him in the pujari room. So immediately I thought, like, this Prabhu, how is he telling me? I never saw him serving here. But I forgot the essence was to clean the pot, like to clean the diya. So, but I was considering the fact, like, does he know the fact or not, or should I follow his advice or not? Forgetting why am I over there for what service?
Beautiful, very practical example and practical application of this. Yes, immediately, especially when we know that our pride or our ego comes into the way and think, I've been doing this seva for some time and I've never even seen you. Why are you asking me? At least the thought will come for us, right? And then but you actually looked past that emotion that is blocking the seva to be um, rendered in a pleasing way, and saw that the intent, and then you chose the intent. Yeah, very nice, very nice, Prabhu. Yeah,
Very
these are
awesome.
the things that I was actually, like kind of hinting at, like, in your own practical day-to-day, devotional service, whether it be at home or at the temple scenario. What are some of the things have you met with any kind of difference of opinions? Maybe it's a garland seva, or is it's something like serving for the during the festivals, or even just regular interactions. Yeah. Yeah, thank you, Prabhu. Thank you for sharing that. Gaur Kumar, Prabhu.
How much time do we have? I don't want to take too much time. If you have a lot of slides, then we can go ahead. I can.
No, go ahead. Yeah, we can wrap up with this with that. Yeah, after your thing.
Okay. So basically, I agree with what Samaksh Prabhu was saying, that most of these differences happen because of ego, and we have to be humble and so on. But Chaitanya Charan Prabhu always says that when there are conflicts, there are three things that we can do. the first thing that we can do is change the situation. The second thing we can do is change ourselves. And the third thing he says is walking out of the situation. So all three we have to very carefully analyze and see what is best for us and take that step. So changing the situation could be changing the other person or the environment or something like that. Changing ourselves could be thinking that if we are fixed uh, in Krishna in the situation, if you are not fixed in Krishna in that situation, then we should change ourselves and try to fix ourselves towards Krishna or Krishna's devotees. And the third situation is if one and two don't work, then it is best to walk out of the situation rather than be in the situation and cause more pain and hurt to other Vaishnavas. So, some practical tips. Hare Krishna.
Wow, very nice. Very nice. Um, so
A quick
yes.
question on that, like change. Can you give an example of change the situation, Prabhuji?
Yes, Prabhu, I can. Maybe we can discuss more in the yatra, but I don't want to because Nitya has a lot of slides. So, but
No,
we'll discuss.
I think this is also important because for everyone to know, it's okay now. I mean, Jagannath Gopal Prabhu, I can go faster next week.
No,
Okay, okay,
It's
okay. So,
much,
I,
yeah.
I think next week also Nitya can continue then. So
yeah,
that
Yeah,
that,
I
that is
actually
the plan.
already checked with Prabhu. Yeah.
okay, perfect. So, changing the situation means you try to solve the problem by changing the consensus, which can also involve getting people to change. So basically, you should try to change the other person based on the level at which you are at, Prabhu. If that person is a peer or your junior, then you should definitely try to change the person. If it's your senior, obviously you can't. Then you have to see how you can change yourself. And the third situation is one and two are both not possible, which sometimes can happen also. Then you must walk away from the situation. But walking away doesn't mean that you run away or do things very like in a very aggressive or arrogant way. Walking away could be in a very humble way also. Just offer obeisances and quietly move away. So that's the approach that is recommended. So does that help, Jagannath Gopal Prabhu? So
Yes. One more
first,
question. The third
yeah,
option, when one walks away, right?
yeah,
Now, with all humility, one might walk away and everything.
yes.
But is it the case that I mean, in these two options, the first in these three options, the first two seem, I don't know, or rather the second one where one changes oneself seems the best one. Why I'm telling you, in the sense that if we walk away, for example, then is it that Krishna will put us again in the same situation? Because if we walk away, does it mean that we haven't learned the lesson there?
So that is why I said we have to follow in that order of priority, Prabhuji. If you try to do one, it is not possible. Then you try to do two, and for whatever reason you have tried and still the situation is not solved, then only you should go to three. So walking away should not be your first option.
Mm-hmm. Understood, bro.
But even after doing one and two, if the situation is not helping, then and only then walk away, but still maintaining that fixedness with Krishna and that humility in your heart, and then move away.
Got it, Prabhuji. Got it.
So there is a question from Ritesh Prabhu. How to know when is the right time to walk away? So we are not escaping the situation. So I guess this just answered this, I think. I hope it's
Yeah. So you have to put, again, it is best to follow authority, but authority who understands you very well and who knows you very well, Prabhuji. So many times what happens is in a situation like ISKCON, we just told that, okay, just follow authority. And that authority may not even know you, know your behavior, your nature, everything. And the authority says something and then you blindly follow that. But that may not be good also. So you have to have a Shiksha Guru who understands you very well and can guide you based on time, place, and circumstance. So there is no general answer, Ritesh Prabhu.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the answer.
So I'll
And
just
Nitya had one example also. I think maybe that example that if you give,
yeah.
yeah.
So one example I was just discussing with him before the class also is that when Vibhishan approached Lord Ram and did Saranagati, right? He surrendered and requested to him to join the Lord Ram's side. So the two people had their opinions. One is Sugriva. Sugriva said that he is a brother of the Rakshasa, Ravana, and and he's also a Rakshasa. So there is no way we can take him into our army. If you want, I can just kill him right here. That's his response. That's his opinion. On the other hand, Hanuman looked at the disposition of Vibhishan, how he was meekly and humbly asking, and his body language and everything, and assessed him right there and said, he will be a great addition to our army because he'll know all the secrets about Ravana, and he looks like a trustable person, because of his bodily body language. And so they both looked at Lord Ram. So now there's a difference of opinion between the two major chieftains. So Lord Ram, then they asked, so what does he think? So Lord Ram said, forget Vibhishan, even if Ravana comes here, I will gladly accept him. Right? So that's how merciful Lord Ram was. Now, when Sugriva heard this, he didn't go like, oh, how can you do this and all that. He was like, sure, let's welcome him. He did not oppose or, does too much, like drama. He immediately surrendered to the will of Lord Ram. And Hanuman also, he did not feel like, hey, see, I won against you, or he did not mock at Sugriva. They were all complying with Lord Ram's plan. So the reason here is that why they were complying is because both Sugriva and Hanuman, they did not have any personal agendas or personal motives or ulterior motives to either allow or deny the entry of Vibhishan. They only looked at the perspective of how this act will help Lord Ram's mission. That is all their focus was. They had one goal of performing devotional service to Lord Ram, and from whatever capacity or whatever experiences that they had in their lives, they one person trusted, another person did not trust. So it was easy for them to align their outcomes with that of the outcome of the Lord, because their interest was for the Lord. They did not have any self-interest. So if we align in our devotional service for the interest of for the sake of pleasing the Lord, then that becomes also a kind of a way to see whether we need to change ourselves or change the situation or walk away. And all these things can be kind of performed from the point of view of whether we are doing this with an ulterior motive, or whether doing this because we need something personally out of the situation, or are we doing this so that the Lord can be pleased, or Lord can be served in a loving way. So that's all they had. So does anybody else have anything, or can we move on further? Yes, Nadia Kishore Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
I think everyone mentioned very, very nice points. Thank you for beautiful presentation also. I just had few points which came to my mind regarding the difference of opinion point. So it's definitely very, very important topic. I just remembered, like in Srila Prabhupada, when he was passing away, he is one of the few things he mentioned that time was, your love will be shown to the devotees, that your love will be shown by how well you
How well
cooperate
you
with each
cooperate.
other.
Yes.
And also the same thing was mentioned by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur when he was passing away, one of the points in his last will. So it's definitely very, very, very important point. Um, and I agree with Jagannath Gopal Prabhu's point, which he mentioned about this material world and spiritual world situation. I mean, many times it's the nature of the material world, and also because of we have so many anarthas like ego and all these things come. While in spiritual worlds, they are completely free of these things uh, and purely serving Krishna, even though they might have different nature, which they have. Everyone is serving Krishna in different rasas. So that is definitely there. And I just remembered one Guru Maharaj's quote. But I don't fully. I might need to check more on it. But he once said like we need to agreeably disagree, something like that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I remember also, but very hazily, something that Maharaj said. Yes. Yeah. Um, yeah. I politely agree to disagree, something like that, right? Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you for your inputs. So, furthermore, I think we have like 5 minutes. Maybe can we go like till 10:10? Maybe I can just finish this section alone.
Sure, Mataji. Yes.
Thank you. I hope everybody's okay. I mean, whoever wants to leave, please feel free. But I just like to just finish off this section alone. So those who remember you, which means, so the Lord is telling Pracetās, right? Those who remember you, those who remember Pracetās, will become very friendly with their brothers and all the living entities. So that is the greatest benediction, right? So if we remember the Pracetās, which we are doing for the past several weeks, we've been remembering the Pracetās, then this very act itself will help us to be cooperative with our brothers. We can take as God brothers, God sisters, like God siblings, and also with all the other living entities. So whenever, maybe this also be a meditation for us, like whenever we get into a difference of opinion or a conflict with fellow devotees or other devotees, and we can immediately think of Pracetās, and then to help us with the conflict resolution. So that is something like a takeaway that we can do right away, actually. And also another benediction that the Lord gives is that those who chant Rudra Gita both morning and evening will have their desires fulfilled and obtain good intelligence. Any idea what this good intelligence that the Lord is referring to? What is the good intelligence here? Just a quick.
Good intelligence to perform devotional service. I mean, good intelligence to choose Krishna in all situations. I guess I don't know.
Nice, yeah.
Buddhi yoga.
Right. Which is also nothing but bhakti yoga.
Yes.
Any other quick thoughts from anybody else?
So I'll just mention one thing very quickly. So in the churning of the milk ocean pastime, the Mandara mountain is considered as intelligence, and the Kurma is Krishna. But so basically, if we forget the Krishna factor and if we just try to churn using our intelligence, which is not rooted in Krishna consciousness, then the intelligence will never be good intelligence. If intelligence has to be good intelligence, then it has to be rooted on Krishna. If the intelligence is rooted on Krishna, then only we'll be able to make the right choices and the right decisions. So, yeah. So ultimately, what is the good intelligence is mentioned here? Intelligence that is rooted in Krishna.
Very nice. Yeah. So one possible answer, this is right from Prabhupada's purport, is that good intelligence means going back home, back to Godhead. So again, this is the benediction. So, so Krishna is giving this benediction, right? That once you, whoever remembers, or sorry, whoever recites Rudra Gita both morning and evening will have all their desires fulfilled, material, spiritual, whatever, and obtain good intelligence in meaning to go back home, back to Godhead ultimately. So, yeah, and that's why I said possible answer. There could be many, many here. But one of the things that Prabhupada mentions in the purport is going back home, back to Godhead. So, due to the Prachetas, excuse me, being submissive to their father and executing the austerities, their qualities will be celebrated worldwide. So this is again a benediction. See, these are all benedictions that the Lord gives the Prachetas for their cooperativeness, because being very pleased with their cooperative mentality, cooperative nature, the Lord is just giving generous benedictions, not only for themselves, but also for the living entities. And he says that you will have a nice son. So then also he goes and says that they will marry a woman named Marisha, who is a daughter of Kandu, sage Kandu, and Apsara Pramlocha. So there is a little bit of a story behind this. I think probably I'll skip this story because it is not like really connected to this. But
No,
anyway.
go ahead. I mean, I think you can complete it so that it's
Yeah.
okay.
Okay. I mean, so when Sage Kandu was performing severe austerities, Lord Indra got, envious or jealous about the sage, and so he sent Apsara, um, Pramlocha, to kind of entice the sage. So the sage, got his meditation interrupted. He fell in love with this Apsara, and then begot a daughter, and the daughter is the Marisha. And so, because being Apsara, she cannot be in this material world for a longer time, and so she just immediately left the daughter, that left her daughter and ascended to the heavenly planet where she came from. And Sage Kandu now, all alone with his daughter, not knowing what to do, he also said, I cannot take care of this daughter, so he also left. So now the daughter is just lying there, is a baby, newborn baby in the middle of the forest. So the trees in the forest became very compassionate, and they start taking care of the daughter. So the entire forest pretty much takes care of took care of the daughter, took care of Marisha, and so it was said that the moon god actually came and gave the nectar, personally fed the nectar into the mouth of Marisha every single night, and that's how she grew up. And so this is the story and the backstory kind of. And this particular, so this person, Marisha, will marry all the 10 Prachetas. So on one hand, we saw Draupadi with, marrying the Panchapandavas. So here is yet another example of a single woman, marrying multiple, but on the order of the Lord. So they will, and another benediction the Lord gives us, they will enjoy all material facilities for 1 million celestial years. So I would go into the calculation of how many years that is, but they were given like extreme material opulences, like whatever we can think of, or not think of. They were given all the material opulences to live with full satisfaction for the in material life, and they will also develop unadulterated bhakti. So so there are many things that were said here also. Whatever they will do in a family life, right? They were given the benediction that they will not get entangled in the family life. Instead, they will, do everything for the pleasure and satisfaction of the Lord. So that way they follow a life of detachment, and at the same time attached in the service of the Lord, attached in the family, with the service of in the service of the Lord as a common goal. So in this way they'll develop Ananya Bhakti towards the Lord. So this is the greatest benediction that the Lord can give, or we can get from the Lord, is that, okay, I'll give you everything you want in the material life. You'll have palaces, you'll have cars and whatever, money, unlimited wealth that can take care of like millions of generations. And at the same time, you will not get entangled with any of them. You will develop unadulterated bhakti towards me. I mean, the best of both worlds, right? This is like the best that the Lord gives them. And devotees are not entangled in family life. So the Lord gives this benediction saying that whoever remembers you will also not get entangled in their family lives. So a discussion, I don't know if we have time or maybe we skip it. I'm not sure what to do, Jagannath Gopal Prabhu. How to dovetail every activity as a service to Krishna.
We do this last discussion. I mean, if
Yeah, this is like, yeah, 2 more verses and then we are done. So we'll be like, yeah. And then the last benediction he gives is that devotees feel ever increasingly fresh and never lament. I also have a discussion on this, or a question on this, like how to keep Casey fresh. So maybe we can discuss both at the same time, like how to dovetail every activity as a service to Krishna, and what do we do in our lives to keep Krishna conscious fresh. Because that's one of the benedictions that Pracetās got. So so dovetailing the activities, such as, let's say we are working, we have a manager, we have to report to them, and we have 10 or 12-hour jobs, where we completely cannot be even close to thinking about Krishna because we have to focus on our jobs. So how to dovetail that kind of activity as a service to Krishna? It could be any other, that you may be going through, but what are the practical tips to dovetail? If anybody can say from their own experiences. Even if we are coding, in the middle of coding something, our mind has to be actively thinking about the logic to solve the problem or fix the issue in the production or something. But so how do you dovetail that particular activity as a service to Krishna? Is it possible to dovetail every single activity? Ritesh Prabhu.
Yeah, I'll just give a little bit of thoughts on how when I perform any of my work, I try. I'm not sure how that manifests, but overall, when there is a need for me to kind of like jump into some kind of coding or something, I figure out like how much time is that, like how much time is needed for that. And during that time, I don't think like we can practically do every activity as a direct service to the Lord, but we can probably, if the end goal of all that is, let's say if we are actually uh, like earning money through our job, then how does that can be used as a service to Lord? So end goal could be serving to Krishna. It may not be that, oh, I'm coding and this coding is only for developing a Krishna consciousness website or some kind of
Right.
yeah, but the end goal could be that whatever the fruits I get, so either the interaction we have from our peers could be interaction where we are more service oriented, where we are helping them. That
Very
is also Krishna consciousness, or doing something where we are getting the fruits of those activities and then giving that fruits to as a service to Krishna somehow, serving devotees, and using our resources to serve Krishna. And
very
when there are times when it's like, okay, this is something that I already know and I don't have to 100% engage myself, I sometimes like listen lecture on the side and or kirtan on the side and do my things. So this is how I try. Yeah.
very comprehensive, Prabhu. Yeah, so to by her behavior, we can do, as I say, just by being, it's a service attitude. That is also a dovetailing towards Krishna, and also by giving the fruits of the labor, like donation or whatever it is, the time or money or whatever we can perform as a yeah, that is also dovetailing our activity. Very nice, very beautiful. Anybody else? Like how do you perform your 8 to 10 hour job, dovetailing activities? Anything, any other different thought process?
So can I go?
Yes,
Shall-
bro.
So yes, I totally agree with what Ritesh Prabhu said. Using the fruits of our labor, of our work to further the movement of Krishna consciousness. That is one very powerful way of doing it. One more thing that I try to do, and it's difficult, not every time I'm able to do, that I try to observe in my work life, in my colleagues and everything, if there is something that I can learn on a spiritual level, in the sense that, one time, one my boss was talking to another person. This person was also very old in age, and he said something really interesting. And he was like, he's at the fag end of his career, and my boss and he were talking about retirement and everything. So this guy, he said one very one thing that really made me open my ears. He said, what is the use of working till you drop dead, till the day you drop dead, or something to that tune, he said. So I was thinking, then this is like, actually this is a spiritual concept if you think about it. And that's what Prabhupada also says, you should not slog like asses till the
Right.
end of your life. You need to know when to completely focus on Krishna consciousness and things like that. So that is, and yeah, such incidents which I try to, see how it can be utilized for my own nourishment, Krishna conscious nourishment, or, for it could be used as an example in preaching or something like that. So that is another way I try to see what can be done. And now the thing with this is, sometimes some epiphanies come, sometimes they don't come. And another Krishna conscious way of dealing with that is not being attached to those epiphanies, not being attached to gaining some sort of a realization from the day-to-day activities that we do at work or whatever. Not because Krishna says in the Gita, and this is what Jananivas Prabhu had said once. Krishna says in the Gita that a true, steady person does not hate illumination, nor, something like that. Does not, what you call it, is attached to illumination, nor does he hate it when there is the absence of illumination. So which is very deep. So I was thinking, so yeah, but that is some way, that is one way I try to see how can something that I experience at work be utilized as an example for my personal nourishment or for some preaching purposes.
Wow, very, very nice. I especially like that that you mentioned, that the slogging mentality. We think that, okay, we need to be successful. I mean, and it is good. It is not at all. There's nothing wrong with having that desire to be materially successful, because that is once, if we Gaurakumar Prabhu, I remember him saying that if we stand on our feet, as long as we stand stable on our feet, then we can raise our hands. So when we are in a materially comfortable platform, then we can think of Krishna consciousness more seriously. But if you're materially struggling, then we can't.
Very
But there is also a balance between where do you draw the line between material comfort. So comfort is like a subjective. For some people, comfort is could be just rental apartment. It's good. Some people, comfort will be something else. So how it's personal, and we only know whether we are pushing our limits for our material success, or can we just draw the line saying, okay, this is it. After this, that is the end of that, and I'm not going to slog more than 8 hours or weeknights and weekends to do this kind of job, and I need to balance my spirituality and my material life. Yes, very nice, Prabhu. Very, very nice answer. But it's not practically possible for everybody, but only we know where that line is. I'm not saying
This is-
materially successful is
yeah.
right or wrong. But we know the line where to draw.
This is at the fag end of this person's career, so definitely it's not applicable for us. But the reflection was that even people outside, they understand that ultimately you have to move on from all this.
Correct.
They know it.
Yes.
Just that they may not know where to move on to. They don't know this person did not say what he will do after he retires. He said, I don't want to keep working till the end of my life, but what he will do sitting at home, that he did not say. So I was just thinking that life forces us to think in that direction, but just that it requires mercy and to come to the path of bhakti. But yeah, it's not like a lesson for us. Definitely it's not something that we should emulate. It's just my speculative mentality creeping into whatever I do.
No, it all depends on the nature of the person also. If they can be happy in a very mediocre kind of a position, and perform both sides very nicely, and that's good for them, right? I mean, it all, I think, personal natures. Yeah, very nicely pointed out, Prabhu. Thank you. I just wanted to just get from everybody who is logged on, just on this last one, and then we will conclude. Like, what do you all do to keep Casey fresh, like on a day-to-day basis? Not on a day-to-day basis, I'm sorry. Like, over a period of, let's say, we have devotees who have been practicing for like 10, 5, 10, or maybe like start from 1, 3, 5, 10, 15, 20 years. So what have you all been doing to keep your Krishna conscious fresh? Like any tips? We can go around maybe and just stop sharing. Can go around everybody and see if anything. Just one thing that you do. Gautama Prabhu, you want to go first?
Listen to different classes and try to go deeper. That way I can keep it fresh. Yeah, but reflection, going deeper in the past times, connecting to Krishna more deeply.
Nice. Yeah. So plan yatras, is it for GKP or for you, Prabhu? I think you also, you're the big yatra planner.
This is something common. Like what I feel is, in life in general also, we are excited when we have something to look forward to. This I've realized over the years, that when we have something to look forward to, then we'll be excited about it. Okay, now, okay, the yatra is going to come next. Okay, yatra happened. Then what? Okay, no, the next year we are going to go to India. Where are we going to go? Okay, we'll try to visit Dham and whatnot. Okay, then after that, what? Okay, we will plan maybe one more yatra. Okay, then after that, what? Okay, Saturday programs at Krishna House. What are we going to cook? What are we going to speak on? What are we? So, when we have something to look forward to,
Yeah,
it creates that excitement. And if that looking forward to is connected to Krishna, then that's the best.
perfect.
Yeah.
Or association with devotees, everything.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
Perfect. Nupur says it's all fresh. Yeah, this is like the best place to be for you, like um Radhanath Swami Maharaj always says that when we every day we must think that this is our first day. How did how excited we were in the first day or first year, first month of our getting into KC. If we were so like innocent, and we were looking at all at everything and accepting everything and being humble, and we were like a sponge absorbing every single word that comes out of everybody's mouth. Everybody was a pure devotee around us. We won't offend anybody. So that kind of fresh, yeah, he always says, try to make it every day your first day, how it was first day when you joined KC. So that the freshness is always a good thing, Nupur. Anybody else?
Hare
Aditi
Krishna,
Prabhu?
Mataji. So,
Yes, Prabhu. Yes.
yeah, I just remembered the point you just said, Guru Maharaj saying, like if we see every day as a fresh, like a new devotee, then there will be no offenses also. I think I heard this point in
Mm,
one of his quotes. And regarding, I mean, in my case, like Gaurakumar Prabhu also said, like hearing different devotees sharing their realizations on even if it's the same topic, the realizations will be different, and even for ourselves also, multiple readings, it can be more and more newer insights, realizations, and all the activities we do, chanting, hearing, reading,
mm,
uh, like uh, like I try to do as much as sincerely and with focus and attention without getting distracted, like chanting. If there is a phone in other hand, like it's very difficult to it's I mean it's very
yeah.
hard to ultimately feel we are going to get a taste in chanting. So these are very small things I noticed. So whenever I try to even if it's something very
Mm,
small, but uh, keeping I mean doing it very sincerely, seriously, and without distractions gives nourishment to me. It can be any activity.
very nice. Yeah, do something small but nice. It doesn't have to be like big, or like wondrous. It's just very small, but do it nice. Like even if a small thing, like okay, from now on, I'm not going to look at my phone while I'm chanting. A small thing we can just follow. Yeah, very nice, bro. Anybody else? Samaksh Prabhu, Vallabh Chaitanya Prabhu, Manishika. I don't know who's behind that.
Hare Krishna, ma'am. Yeah, so I think one thing that kind of keeps it fresh. I mean, it's not, I don't do it actively, but since you asked the question only, then I started thinking that what's that thing that kind of always um keeps it fresh sometimes, not always, but whenever that happens. So I feel any sort of whenever I pause, whether it's taking darshan, and somehow organically when you're taking darshan, you automatically remember of the first time I took darshans of the deities.
Mm,
And second thing is when, especially when I pause and randomly end up noticing one particular devotee. Especially, I remember during the boat festival, I was just standing on the corner on the rooftop of Bhakti Center this year, and I just saw Nandini Radhika, and that feeling was just something else. I kind of just thought how she did all of this, and she was just standing in one corner, not wanting any nothing, no
Mm.
fame, nothing. So it was just it kind of hit. So those little moments, when things just hit, so it's not voluntary from my end, but I think Krishna just kind of keeps doing that every now and then to keep it fresh.
Nice. Wow. Very nice. Getting inspiration from other devotees who actually, um, you know, perform devotional service yet remain at the back scene. Very nice. Anybody else? Okay. So with that,
I'll just mention one small thing. So one of my Shiksha Gurus, Radha Vallabh Prabhu, always used to tell me that all the services that we do, we should try to do it slightly differently, because doing it slightly differently will make it fresh. For example, he was telling that whenever he used to go for Mangal Arti, he would stand in exactly the same position every day. And then over a period of time, it started becoming mechanical. And then so he would change his position during Mangal Arti, sometimes in the left corner, sometimes in the right corner, and so on. And one more thing that he was told by someone is that, okay, now we keep using the right hand and the right middle finger and thumb for chanting, right? So sometimes chanting can also become very, very mechanical. So what he used to do was, once a month, he would use his left hand for chanting, and then that would seem like so fresh for him, because then you have to make a slightly different effort to chant. And so small tips like this to not make the same activity very mechanical. Hare Krishna. Sorry.
wow, very nice. Yeah, we can follow this like right away. Nice. The result of Krishna consciousness is that one becomes increasingly enlightened and he enjoys the life with the thrill, not only for some time, but at every moment. Nice. Wow. Yeah, very, very nice, inspiring thoughts. So hopefully it was inspiring to hear from others, also for everybody to see what keeps them going in Krishna consciousnness. So that's all for today. So unfortunately, you'll be hearing from me next week also. I have 4 more sections to cover, but those will be really fast. Thank you all, everybody, for patiently attending this session.